Welcome, everyone. I'm Drew Franklin from Kentucky Sports Radio, back to host another virtual bourbon tasting with our friends from Railbird. I thought I was only going to do one. They have me back again. I will say yes anytime they want me to drink bourbon at home. But we got a bigger crew this time. I think we'll just go around and introduce ourselves. I'll start with the returning guest from last time, one of the people behind Railbird, David Helmers. You produce Railbird. You've brought me on here to host this show. You ready to drink a little bourbon?
I am, Drew, and thanks for coming back. We've got 9 barrels to select for Railbird this year, so you have to clear your calendar. We appreciate you helping us out, and this is an exciting one tonight with Pinhook.
Yeah, no, from Justin's House of Bourbon. I thought we were going to have Justin Thompson, but it looks like we've done a substitution for Shae Thompson, the better Thompson. Shae, we're excited to have you join us here. Are you ready to drink some bourbon?
I'm absolutely ready to drink some bourbon. I'm here for House of Bourbon, here for the Bourbon Review magazine, and I absolutely love drinking bourbon, and I especially love doing barrel picks because it allows me to judge and get rewarded for it.
All right, and because Justin's House of Bourbon has multiple Justins, we also have Justin Sloan from Justin's House of Bourbon. Justin, do you even know anything about bourbon? Is this your first time?
Only thing I know is we've got the better Thompson and a better looking Justin here tonight, and we'll see if we can get some whiskey.
All right, and for the first time, we have Samantha Fore, a local chef here in Lexington. Samantha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I am the chef and the owner for Tuk Tuk Sri Lankan Bites here in Lexington, and I get to take my operation all over the place and do pop-ups all over the country.
And are you ready to drink bourbon?
Always.
We also have Aaron Goldfarb with us tonight. Aaron, how are you?
Good. I'm Aaron. I am in beautiful Brooklyn, New York right now. I'm a whiskey writer for Esquire, Punch, Vine Pair, and I've written a few books. Hacking Whiskey is probably what people most know me for.
For this bourbon tasting, we have Pinhook Bourbon with Sean Josephs joining us today. Sean, tell us what all is going on at Pinhook and what you might have for us tonight before we really get into it.
So I'm hanging out here in New Orleans, so I lived in New York for a long time, so I feel better off than Aaron anyway. But yeah, I'm excited. We've done a lot of barrel picks with Justin's House of Bourbon. There was a great barrel pick for Railbird last year, so it's just always fun for me to hang out with other people who love whiskey and see what strikes their fancy.
And then like last time, we have people watching at home. Feel free to leave comments, ask questions down at the bottom as we sip the bourbon here. We did this before. We're going to keep going this on. It's going to be a long part of a series. Going to have 8 of these where we'll be picking a special barrel pick that will be the Railbird bourbon from these distillers. We could go on and on about it, but I say we just go ahead and crack into the bourbon here. Sean, can you kind of set up what all you presented for us that we're going to break down here and try and pick the winner?
Sure. So these are 3 barrels that were pre-selected, meaning hopefully there are no dogs in the bunch. In theory, we should already be at a certain level. We're looking to pick the best that we can. I founded Pinhook in 2010, and we started by buying barrels from MGP in Indiana in 2011. We recently segued to releasing our own custom distillate via Castle and Key in Millville, Kentucky. But these are MGP bourbon barrels, which we still have a decent number of. And I'm just excited because these were barrels that we bought when they were probably 12 months old, 14 months old. And by the time these are ready to be dumped and bottled, we'll be at 5 years, which I think, is a nice kind of tipping point for bourbon in general. So hopefully some good examples of MGP bourbon here to choose from.
Justin Sloan, you might know more about bourbon than most people. What all do you know about Pinhook?
Well, like Sean, number one, the packaging is absolutely beautiful, and then more importantly, I love the take on the releases. So started out on the first releases was 6 months. Every release was 6 months older than the last, and that was kind of different for the time and different for the industry. And then with now just coming out with these kind of cool releases that are all named after horses with, like I said, beautiful packaging, beautiful thought goes into the bottling of them, and then you have fun things like barrel proof. That they're higher proofs on some of the expressions as well. Gives their portfolio as a retailer a very nice fill out on the shelf.
I'm looking at the samples everyone should have. Picked mine up today. I have not dipped into it yet. It was hard to resist temptation. I assume we're all set here with the 3. Everybody got theirs?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Sean, since this is your stuff and you know what you're doing, do you want to tell us what we want to lead off with and where we want to go? Or, David, did you have anything you wanted to add first before we really get into it?
The only thing I was going to add, just to echo what Sloan was saying, Pinhook has a beautiful package, but what's great is what's inside it. Last year we had 6 single barrels at Railbird in the Rickhouse, and actually I've got my Pinhook bottle right here still. Folks jumped all over the bottle because I think it was so attractive looking. But then what was really rewarding for me is I had friends who travel from all over the country. They got back home. This was what came home following them, got shipped back to them as their souvenir from Kentucky, with thoroughbred horse on it. But then as they got to crack these bottles open, and they were able to taste them at the festival, they were very happy with what they got. So it's we're thrilled to have Pinhook back for year 2.
We're excited to be here, and I think as Sloan kind of hinted at, which I guess is worth mentioning again, these will be bottled unfiltered at cask strength. So what we're tasting now is exactly what is going to end up in the bottle, which is important to me philosophically in terms of single barrel tasting, that you don't then later have it diluted down and then have a different experience of the whiskey that you selected. So I think that always makes it more fun when we do it this way. And also it's the only thing that we bottle at cask strength. So kind of a unique offering in that way as well.
Well, we're all prepared to drink some cask strength here. I say we go ahead and at least pour it up and go from there. So,
there's no particular order. So just because that happens to be the way that I laid them all out.
Okay.
Let's start with number 2053 as the first one. And I would love for you guys.
2063.
Yeah, that's 2063.
What's that?
We have 2024, 2063.
And then this one.
And then the new one,
The new one should be, the new one, if it doesn't have a number on it, should be 2053.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
The one without a number, we'll call it.
Gotcha.
This one here.
Scared me for a second. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Showed up at the wrong Zoom meeting.
We learned last time how exactly to taste the bourbon and go through the steps. I am not the bourbon expert on that. So if any of you all who know what you're doing want to walk us through again the best ways to really get in here and get the sniff and then the taste. Justin Sloan, do you want to take that one?
Well, Drew, since I know you so well, I know it is not including Mountain Dew in the tasting, so we're gonna skip that part on your taste normal. But the first thing to do is just kind of swirl around a little bit, get your nose into the glass. This is a Glencairn, but you can use any kind of glass. Just get your nose really deep in there and take a deep breath. Try to get as much as you can without that alcohol burn. Just let it kind of air out a little bit, and your first nose, second nose will be kind of what you dial in there.
It's a nice trick. We all just going to go ahead and last time we did all 3 and did the smell test first. Do you all want to go that same way?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Pour them all 3 out, smell them first, and then talk about what we smell before we taste. Let's go and do
Which
that.
one's next?
So
let's line them up as that was the 53. You said
53 is the one with nothing on it. Then I have 63 next, followed by 24.
Perfect. All right. So that'll be.
You want to just do ABC to make it easier as we go through them, kind of line them up that way?
Yeah, as long as they're in that same order. We'll
Okay.
ABC for sure.
Nice job, Sean. Picking out some good barrels.
I think we have a good start.
Yeah.
You know what the proof is on all of these?
I don't. But my hunch will be in the 116, 117 type of range from what we've been seeing, what we saw last year. So to me, what's cool, I mean, obviously we're on the nose right now, but is you really see a lot of variation in terms of alcohol integration from individual single barrels. And to me, you can get barrels that come across as really hot and alcoholic, and another barrel at the same proof can come across as quite soft with the alcohol integrated. I mean, of course, there's an intensity when you're at that level of that, proof. But to me, I mean, I'm leaving it really up to everyone else to kind of drive the pick, but that's kind of how I look at what constitutes a good single barrel, at least in my world, because a lot of them can be a little disjointed. A lot of them can come across as really hot and sort of volatile and assertive. And so the magic of finding a great single barrel is one that has a sort of balance and harmony and complexity and a long finish and really good alcohol integration. And if it can combine all those things, then I think that's when you have a winner.
So I saw, Samantha, you were getting a big whiff there. Did you start with A? Did you smell anything in there?
Actually, I've gone through all three because A, when I first did a nose of it, it was really like the alcohol was super strong. So I wanted to let it mellow out for a second. B is a touch mellower. C, I'm super interested in just from all the random smells that I'm getting. It's definitely a lot different from the profile of A, which is kind of exciting. I assume that they're probably pretty close to each other given serial numbers and all that. But
I'm still working my way through here.
That 2053 is the first one. There is definitely has a nose that you expect a big bite on the finish. I'm excited to see how that relates to the taste.
I'm taking a sip.
Yeah,
I agree. It has a really powerful nose to me, and so I want to see if it kind of has that same punch when you sip it.
Are we talking about the first one, A or 1?
A.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was really curious to hear Sam talk about the nose and what flavors she was starting to pick up.
I mean, I always get corn when I nose whiskeys just because that's usually predominant. But this one it's like mellow and sweet once it calms down. Like the sweetness on the nose is
almost chocolatey to me. But Drew and I talked about this on the first one. Drew and I talked about this last week. I'm usually not very good at articulating it myself, what I'm smelling, but then when someone else tells me, I think it. So I'm very susceptible. So, maybe I persuaded you of something.
Well, I did take a couple sips already.
Yeah, David, we're alike in that we don't know how to describe what we have, but then when someone else says it, we know it right there. That was it.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly.
What about you, Aaron?
These are all the same mash bill? Is that correct?
Yep, this is all the 75 corn, 20.5% rye, 4.5% barley.
So I get a ton of spice on C, which made me think it was maybe higher rye, but I also asked you about the proof because actually the first one didn't come in that hot to me, and I thought it was quite soft. The more I'm sniffing, I'm getting more of that, ethanol burn, but I thought B was a lot hotter. And C has a hotness, but from the spice I'm getting, not from, straight ethanol.
See, B is like the most chill nose for me.
I'm not getting that.
I get like burnt caramel, some weird vanilla, kind of just flowy vanilla stuff on the nose.
Scotch caramel.
I love that nose on B.
I think what'll be fun too is they're all gonna blow off a little bit with some time in the glass, but I think it's gonna be fun to kind of keep circling around and circling back and see how they shift.
Absolutely.
They are the same fill date, all of them, right? So they're exactly the same age. I can find out later off the top of my head. I don't know actually about Rickhouse position, but I think these are all definitely in warehouse B at Castle and Key, which is the 2 football field long brick Rickhouse.
I ask really weird questions, so sorry.
It's not a weird question at all. Totally fair.
Trying to adjust my screen here. I apologize. Did anybody else get anything we haven't really mentioned there? I like to. Who said chocolate? Because I went back for it and then I got chocolate.
Well, I said that, but
Oh wow!
in the first one.
The man, I think nose for me B is kind of standing out a little bit as far as kind of special with not really getting too much grain forward stuff, and definitely seems to have the elderly nose of the three.
I would agree with Sloan in terms of, I think 2 seems the most mature of the bunch, which is interesting again, because like I said, same age, same mash bill.
It has a sweetness quality to me, like almost like a candy, or like a little bit of a buttery kind of nose on it.
This is the Rock Hill Farm Elmer T. Lee, like more of that profile for people who like that type of thing.
Creamy. Oh God, did I just use creamy? That's JT's word.
Okay, he's not here. We won't tell him.
I know.
So does anyone prefer any just on nose alone? Anything really jump out that you really liked?
I think it might be with
C
Sloan on the B.
B for me, but
C has a very interesting nose.
Yeah, C's totally drawn me in.
it'd be interesting to see how that relates to the taste too. So
I feel like C is almost like the marriage of A and B. Like it has a little bit of the more of the candied quality, but it's also got that kind of sharper, more assertive nose too. So it's
I got a little bit more clove from it too.
Yep, there's definitely some spice going on. I think it's a great example, if nothing else, of just obviously how different 3 barrels with the same mash bill, filled on the same day, same run can be from each other.
Right, which is a great point. For people who are not as in the know with regard to bourbon, when you're talking about single barrels, what makes single barrels so fun and unique is just that they are unique. You're getting a very limited. We'll have 150, 125 to 180 probably bottles per barrel. I'm guessing it kind of depends. But yeah, when those bottles are gone, those bottles are gone. But it's as you said, these are all made with the same mash bill. In other words, the same recipe.
Yep.
They all have been aged the same amount of time.
Yep.
And, the magic that happens in the Rickhouse is that you get very different flavors.
Exactly.
Well, these don't sit in a barrel just for us to smell, so I'm ready to get to what we're here to do. I know, Sam, you snuck in and already had a few, which is completely fine, but I'm ready to jump in too. So let's
tasting notes. That's what chef's got to do, right?
Yeah, let's just all start with A, and then go around together, and everybody weigh in on what you think.
the spice I was expecting with that nose. I like that. Yeah. That's got a great finish. A little medicinal on the very end, but totally matches what I expected with the nose.
Yeah, the finish is nice. It has a very herbal, almost Amaro-like finish, really brunette. That's my favorite part of it for sure.
It's like that mentholy sort of rooty goodness
Absolutely.
at the end of it.
Yeah.
Almost like an herbal tea.
Earl Tea. That I don't think I've heard that one.
I like it. I'll say that. I do like it. We'll see how it matches up against the next two, but
it comes out nice and sweet at the end though. Like it's really nice and mellow once that mentholy feeling wears off.
Kind of keeps it soft and drinkable for the proof, for sure.
Oh yeah, for what, a 116? This is absurdly drinkable.
I went in expecting to like it, and then the first sip really exceeded my expectations. I don't know if that's the long day, and I was just ready for some bourbon, but I really enjoyed that first one.
I feel like bourbon's earned every day these days.
It's a good time when the first one's good.
All right, skate on to B.
I'm going to let somebody else go first this time.
I get like big red chewing gum on the nose.
Yeah, I think some of the barrels really are kind of cinnamon, like this candy,
Really cinnamon heavy.
driven thing.
I definitely think that it goes along with the candied nose, and it's extremely drinkable, like really easy to drink.
This one feels a little more one note though to me.
I think the first had a little bit more dimension, especially as it kind of crusted and then kind of waved off towards the end.
It's not a bad one note on B. It's just one note.
It's a very pleasant drinking experience.
Yeah.
I would happily drink it.
I love what you guys are saying, because to me it represents the two sides of thinking about how you select a barrel. I would agree on the one hand that like there's something more kind of linear and specific about B, right? Like it's more driven by this kind of like cinnamon spice note, but I also find it to be more intense overall and have a kind of deeper, I think it has more structure than A to me, just in terms of like mouthfeel, length of finish, intensity on the palate.
Right.
And I think that's an interesting balance.
That note resonates. It kind of
gets all the way through.
To me,
a full, measure.
Yeah. I think it'd be a great cocktail bourbon actually, but
yeah.
For me, B is that dinner where a food item with a wine and how it just flows. It just when you nail that pairing, that food pairing, that's what B is to me. It just feels like it's from start to finish, right level where it needs to be, and doesn't need to alter either way. I really like B. I think it matches well with the nose as well.
I think B would be an absolute dream with a barbecue dish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it would really bring out those like deep spice notes within. And I also think it would be great on a bourbon cake because
Here we go.
all of the cinnamon notes of it.
Yeah, I could see it savory with a barbecue, but then I could see it sweet, with dessert.
Samantha, I'm seeing that there's something in our future where whatever barrel we get, we're going to have to figure out what food goes with it best. Does that sound like a good deal for all of us?
If somebody has to do it, guys.
I'm in for the food tasting too.
There we go.
We're doing
I think everybody is at this point.
That's right.
Any more strong thoughts on B before we give C a test in this first run?
On that second taste, I got something oddly medicinal in the middle of it, but I couldn't get it again.
It's almost hard. I went back and tasted it. It's almost hard to even taste it because B really overwhelms it. And I think I'm going back to leaning towards B, even though I still agree it is that one note cinnamon note, but it's damn good.
Well, let's give C a chance. See what we get out of that one, and we'll go from there.
I love the nose on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting.
I'm getting something there, and I can't pinpoint it.
Is it bubblegum? Because that's what I thought it was.
It's not bubblegum. It's Eggo waffles. No, I'm just kidding.
These are all so diverse from each other.
It's wild. Yeah, it's a.
I kind of get that bubblegum banana esters a little bit.
It's really
Kind
sweet
of
initially.
Belgian beer.
Start,
Oh my God, I really like it though.
but it doesn't stay.
It doesn't stay, but the initial sip of it is delightful.
It does take you on a journey. It's like starts like this banana creme brulee, and then dips into some of the cinnamon we got in B and some licorice, and it definitely.
I'm definitely getting some kind of a sweet grain from it. So it's like, I don't know if it's more like a banana bread or some sort of like a pastry.
Could that be the rye?
Yeah.
Got a lot going on.
Other than David, who did this with me last time, has anyone ever participated in a virtual bourbon tasting before?
Virtual, no.
Is this groundbreaking stuff here on Zoom for everyone?
Hey, now that I know that I can get barrel samples to my house delivered onto the nice little table outside, I'm all about it.
I've done a lot of drinking in the last few weeks on Zoom. Yeah.
Sitting at home and drinking with your laptop open isn't considered just a big bourbon tasting, Justin.
Right.
Oh,
And it's not drinking alone.
No?
We're together here. But I'll tell you, it's been, I keep calling Justin. And I'm like, do you need me to take any of these samples around? And it's like being Santa Claus. You know, I'm going by Drew's house and leaving baskets on the door. I went by Sam's house today. You know, it's fun.
We do this again, I'm going to leave out milk and cookies for whoever comes down the chimney and leaves me bourbon
Yeah, I
samples.
really should just start leaving snacks on the steps.
I've got Samantha's delivered.
Sloan, what do you think? See, this could be the power of suggestion because I'm in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a famous restaurant here, Brennan's, that invented Bananas Foster.
Yeah.
This is like the Bananas Foster bourbon
It is with a little cinnamon kick.
with a little cinnamon kick.
Okay, I should
It's
think
desserty,
I definitely see the Banana Fosters.
Yeah. That's I like C. I think C has great notes from A and B. Do I prefer it over any of them? I'm not sure. I'm not gonna influence anybody on when we get to picking it. But I thoroughly enjoyed all three of them, and I think there's definitely a home in something for all three of them. One thing I like to point out when we do these, when we do these barrel picks is who we're picking for. We're necessarily not picking for us that's in this group. So keep in mind we want something that's going to be kind of different than a normal product on the shelf, but we also want to put our turn on it of deciding the barrel, but also what will be for the masses and the masses will like, from the novice to the expert. So it's a good balance of sliding in there to where, where everybody can like something about it. So that's before we get into picking, I just want to put that in your head.
It might be cheating, but I added a couple drops of water to the last one just now. And it's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I was actually about to say for round 2, let's go back and add a little bit of water to all of it and do this all again.
It comes out spicier on the end. It's really weird.
Sean, I think next time we need to get bottles of each one of them, like full 750s. That way we can really, really take this to.
Especially
if I drink all of this, I'm going to be on the floor.
But we're all at home. It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not completely okay.
I'm
but
not
if
going
you
to
did.
get arrested or kicked out. Never mind.
All right, I'm going to go
Water for me
back to
brings
A.
a lot of coconut notes forward on a few of these.
Which one here? Or you're saying
The water brings some coconut notes forward to me on actually all of them, kind of, but especially on C, which I like.
So that's straight up the Sri Lankan food wheelhouse right there. Coconut, cinnamon. You guys got this down.
I went back to A with a little bit of water, and I got a little bit of Christmas in there. I don't know if it's because you just mentioned Santa, but
You're open to suggestion, Drew. That's what it is, I think.
or maybe I'm just looking at my hideous beard here that has white hairs coming through.
Mine's worse, though.
You can blend them out.
Very impressionable, Drew. All right. This is the toughest part of it. Drinking the whiskey is not the hardest part. It's deciding on one because they're all special in their own way.
I keep on coming back to B.
Yeah, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes there's just one that's not up to muster for whatever reason, or beyond just personal taste. There's one that just kind of. These are all really good.
Yeah.
And that does make it hard.
There's a lot going on in all of them.
I agree with you all. This is a very tough job, and we're all honored to have to do it. But we're eventually going to have to cut it down. Does anyone have one that they know won't be their one? We won't officially eliminate anything, but is there one that just didn't sit well with anyone?
I liked them all, but A is the one I'm not considering much anymore. It's good, but I think B and C got a lot more going on. B for me is one I'd serve to my kind of bourbon geek friends, and C is one I'd serve to kind of people that maybe don't know a lot. I think it's more crowd pleasing. It's delicious, but it's got a lot of notes that people are more accustomed to and can handle.
Yeah, because people are going to be looking for that caramel, that vanilla, that sort of toasty spices situation.
Yeah.
You gotta remember too that I would say 60% of the people that's going to be trying this is going to get that proof right off the bat. They're not going to be able to pull off the proof to get the taste. So that's an important thing to remember for the masses. But
so that actually eliminates A for me, because the initial nose on A just
that's kind of what I've eliminated today as well. Yeah, just
it mellowed out over time, but it took a little while.
The bourbon geek in me says A is that spicy Sean knows. I like the spice, the digging, but in this case, the spice I don't think is the better one.
Is anyone very pro A? Or should we go ahead and start thinking about going to 2?
Like A. I put a little water in it, and it changed it a little bit, but I like A and C are my preferred 2. But anyway, I mean, I hear what everybody's saying too about it. Like we said, it's hard. They're all good. So it's tricky. I don't know the best way to kind of winnow it down. I can be convinced to settle on any of these, which is the good news.
It's there's no wrong answer. This is basically like the Survivor show now. You just need to build an alliance and figure out who you're going to team up with to get rid of one.
I think
is this tribal council here?
it goes.
I like what Sloan said, because I think criteria is interesting. And for me, if you were to say the criteria is something that someone who maybe likes bourbon but doesn't dig into it that much would like, and an enthusiast would like, I like B for that, because it still strikes me as having the softest nose. So it's the most approachable out of the gate, even though it has a lot of cinnamon spice.
It's got a bite, but it's got a good bite.
It's got a good bite, but it's like easy on the approach. And so I think, it could work for both, but
I think B is really easy, but really fun to drink.
I agree.
I think the B also has the most noticeable nose for me. I think
yes.
that the common bourbon drinker will definitely be able to pick out the easiest is the B, but I'm going to go back to now kind of do C and B and see what we got here.
But I would pick B for myself, but under your criteria, Sean, I would actually pick C. I think it has
more the novice would like it.
Yeah, it has more of those dessert notes, as we've discussed. It has more of those, non-harsh and aggressive notes. I feel it's very desserty. It's stellar when it's proofed down with water, which is not something I like to do quite a bit, but proofing it down really made those coconut notes explode. I would serve that to my friends that don't really know much, and I think they would like it.
I think what you're saying, Aaron, that makes sense to me is I was focusing more, I guess, I was thinking about the nose. I think if you took the nose of B and the palate of C, that would be the ultimate in terms of, because I think that B, just from that first approach when you smell it, is kind of the softest and just the most, that just very easy, caramely, like I was saying, that kind of Rock Hill Farm, Elmer T. Lee, just kind of quality. But then you're right, it transitions to the palate to something a little more aggressive and spicier. And then I think C is the inverse of that. I think the nose is just like a tad sharp, but then when it transitions on the palate, it's like super accessible. So it's almost like they're the inverse of each other.
Right.
They're both damn good, though. I would say I'd be super happy to have a bottle of either of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
See, it's really interesting. There's a lot going on there.
It is complex.
It's super complex. I'm just wondering, well, I should have more faith in the average bourbon drinker, especially in Kentucky. So,
Be afraid.
I feel like B would be like a total crowd pleaser in that people like that sort of sweet, cinnamony situation with their bourbon, especially given the proclivities towards things like Fireball and stuff like that. But the complexity of C is really exciting for somebody who like can pick out flavors and stuff like that, on top of it being pleasant and approachable.
C is great.
Both. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, Justin Sloan, you do this probably more than anyone. When you do get to this position, what's a good way to really narrow it down and eliminate one? Is there a trick? Do we reset?
Well,
Don't they just buy them both?
Typically, my name's on it. So typically, I'll let everybody else vote, and I come in and just say which one we're doing. But this time, I will default. Let's just do a vote on rank them. Just rank them number one and see what we got.
Hang on a second. Let me drink them again.
Okay, there we go.
And are we ranking on our favorite or
is everybody gonna hold up their finger like a rock, paper, scissors? Hold up your finger or your favorite. Is that? Are we? Because I don't have. Or are we going to write something down?
Let's do the finger thing. That's fun.
This has never been done before, so we set the rules.
Yeah, well, rock, paper, scissors. I don't know what you call it.
So what's B? B is
Two.
So it's
Two.
1, 2, and 3. A, B, and C are 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, gotcha. I
And
have opposite.
we're voting for, at this point, our choice for the Pinhouse Railbird Select, the one that we think would be the best for Railbird.
Good deal. All right.
Is everyone ready for that vote? I don't want to rush it. If anybody needs a little more time or to talk it through anymore, we got to get the right one.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to count us down from 5. Get a little extra seconds there, and then we're just going to hold them up.
What am I throwing up now? Like,
We're going to throw up either 1, 2, or 3.
okay, thank you.
You're picking your
I was going
favorite.
to go for rock, and everyone's
And again, and as Justin has coached us, we may not be picking our personal favorite. We're picking the favorite for August.
If you've been drinking too much, look down at your fingers first to see how many.
Right.
3. All right, here we go.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Shoot.
okay.
All right. Well, here's what we know for sure, right? 1 is out. A is out.
Okay.
Because we only had 3s and 2s. And so keep all your 1 samples. I'll come pick those up later.
Oh, what? I'll have to pour a little water in my bottle here.
Apple juice. It looks the same. You won't know.
So what was the vote there?
Well,
nobody voted for A, so we can.
Nobody voted for A.
That's already on that side of the desk before that's already out of here.
So we moved out A, and then we have 2 and 3. I thought we kind of could winnow it down. We might want to go back and figure out just between these 2 if we have a favorite or discuss it.
And if anybody's really passionate, you can really fight and make the case for the one you love. I assume everyone is like me and completely torn on these 2.
I think it's hard to figure out how people are going to consume it. I think that's the biggest thing. Are people going to consume it straight? Are people going to consume it with a touch of water, a little bit of rocks? Like, I think with a couple of rocks, both of them change a lot too. So
I just feel like that's such a personal preference, and that is the beauty about it being bottled at cask strength. Is it's like it's bottled in its most purest form, so you really can kind of do what you want with it. You can play with it a little bit, which is fun.
I see more applications for B. I'm just really enthralled by C. There's so much going on.
Yeah, I've been touting 3 the whole time. I voted for 2 if you saw, but I think B is more versatile. It can work in cocktails, neat, white, water, ice, and it's great neat. So, I've been brought back to 2. It's what I drink more, I think, if I had in the house, B and C. So,
Sean, why did you select B over C?
I think that, so my background was wine first, right? And I come back to, so I always get hung up on wine stuff. But I always in the end was a huge fan of Burgundy, right? And more or less you're talking about Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which in a way are very straightforward, right? They're not about all of these, it's not that they're not complex, but they're kind of linear in a way. And so, not to go into my wine geek range, but I kind of like that it is kind of one thing, but one thing really, really, really well. And that's why I picked it. It's just a great expression of bourbon. And it's kind of like, and I think what good single barrels do is it reminds me of other barrels I've tasted that aren't as good. And it's like someone took the volume and went like, and just like dialed everything up. And it's sweet on the nose. It's still, we're saying it's more one note, but it still has some complexity, and it just has a very long finish. It's got a lot of structure. And I think you just keep wanting to come back to the glass. And I really like C too, by the way. I think C is great and super, super complex. I think C is a little more, in a cool way, all over the yard. There's a lot going on, which I appreciate too. And probably if you caught me on a different day, maybe I'd be going for C. But
I've already written down that barrel number for C, Sean. So just
I know you. I know you have.
I agree with you on B. As I keep pouring and drinking it, it just keeps delivering every single time. While C, is still good, but it keeps fading away. B's one you can put, the bottle on the coffee table or it's wherever you're drinking, and it's going to last you all night. It just keeps delivering.
It's good.
Good evening sipper. It really is.
Absolutely.
I think that food-wise, you're probably going to get more out of B as well. I love C for all the random, completely batty nuances it has. But food-wise, especially given Kentucky fare, I think you're going to probably get more of a pleasant pairing with B, because it's going to cut into those big, deep meats. It's going to bring out all the spice notes that you would want. I'm kind of a geek about that with wine too. Like I have to taste the food aside of the wine just to make sure it's right. So
I think too, and Aaron would be good to speak to this as well, because I know he plays with cocktails a lot, but even though it might be a cliche, I always think of the old fashioned, because it's far and away the most popular bourbon cocktail. Like, it's not even close. And it's also a great cocktail because at its best, with a very little amount of sugar and just whichever bitters you decide to play with, it's really focused on the bourbon.
I could make an old fashioned right now.
And B would make a crazy good old fashioned. I think you could like play up the cinnamon notes or play off the cinnamon notes, but it would be I think it would make a heck of a
pair so well with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking that the whole time. It's a perfect old fashioned bourbon.
I feel like I should go make one.
We go back to sometimes your first is the best, and right out of the gate with B, everyone said, "Oh, this is it's a strong note. It resonates. It's got sustain, and these are all music, but it does sustain. And it has a really nice finish, and it may not be as complex or intricate in some ways as the others with little notes here and there, but it's a solid, really good.
It still pops.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a G chord, David.
What's that?
It's a G chord.
That's right.
Well, I was going to say not to be out of my depth, but sometimes you want jazz, and then sometimes you just want to hear those 4 chords played or 3 chord progression.
Right. It's the power A chord. Rock and roll, power stance.
Yeah.
That's right. Playing the chord. I like it.
It's the rock and roll bourbon.
It looks like Sam and maybe Aaron might be making old fashions. And now I'm a little jealous we're not all together, because I would love one of those right now.
I know. I feel like he needs to go make me an old fashioned.
Oh.
Just switch to drinking right out of the bottle.
I'm using our mutual friend Robert Simonson's branded old fashioned glasses too.
Ooh, there we go.
Make it a little simple. I don't have Demerara today.
This is next level barrel pick.
Yeah.
All the way to preparing cocktails. during the selection. This is.
I will say when we do the blending, which is an entirely different process, but is a long process, and we finally identify the blend, and then after we figure out what the blend is, we play around with a bunch of different proofs to find what we think is the right proof for that blend. We always make an old fashioned or a Sazerac, make a classic whiskey forward cocktail, because I feel like, even though it's not saying like the point is that you should make a cocktail with it, but I feel like I understand it better in the context of the cocktail. So I think it's awesome that they're making a drink with it, because to me, definitely part of our process when we're trying to figure it out is to kind of, it gives it the final seal of approval. It's like, let's make a drink with it and see if it's really good.
Right.
I love when bars and restaurants pick a single barrel with a cocktail in mind. I think it's really cool. It seems kind of extravagant, but it's always fun.
I look forward to being able to tell folks, when we did the Pinhook barrel pick, that not only did we love it and it was so good, but two of the people on the panel immediately started making a cocktail because they liked it so much. They wanted to kind of, take it to that next level and see how it mixed. And it's great.
It's perfect.
It's good old fashioned.
When you do get your bottle of the Pinhook Railbird single barrel, make sure you find David at Railbird, and he will make you a cocktail on site. He will carry oranges, everything right on site.
That's right.
Like Sam just went to the grocery and got an orange, and went to the liquor store and got the supplies. How'd it taste?
To a chef's house, man.
So what's the report, Sam? How'd it work?
Can't talk drinking.
She actually brought out her stir. I just used my finger.
It's the perks of doing it at home. It's your own rules.
I really do like it. I think I only had regular sugar, not Demerara, but I think with Demerara it would be absolutely beautiful. So.
The spice balance is the sweet. It's perfect.
And with the orange, it's so nice.
What kind of meat are we doing with this, Sam?
Pork.
Okay, there we go. I'll let you know when they come in.
Well, guys, I think we have a winner, right?
Yeah, I think everyone seems pretty convinced.
Really well. It was good work by everybody. Are we unanimous now that we're going to go with B?
B works for me.
I have no complaints.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks so much. Now we'll leave it up to Pinhook to take that barrel, take good care of it, put it in some amazing bottles for us, and it'll be here.
I mean, if you look at this is B, this is C, and then this is A.
See?
Go.
So I think B wins.
There you go.
I think Sam decided it there.
Right.
So
I do what I can.
B is the one for the Pinhook Railbird Bourbon Barrel Single Barrel pick. It was a good fight by the other two, A and C. We liked all of them, but B's the winner, and it looks like it goes very well in an old fashioned, even though I'm not allowed to try it because I didn't have the supplies.
Well, cheers, everyone. Thanks so much for participating and helping us pick another winner.
I will happily pick bourbon any day.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.